Hi, welcome back. Got an exciting project for you today. I've come by, I think, 14 of what looks to be some hornbeam. I think they're just European hornbeam. Now, I don't really want 14 individual hornbeam bonsais, so I thought we'd try and make some kind of forest out of these. They seem ideal candidates. Most of them are fairly straight trunk, so there's not much going on there. But then they do fork out in quite nice areas where we can make new kind of leaders and canopies up there. Right, out of the bunch I've picked a nice group of 7 or 8 here that we'll have a look at. We'll take them back into the greenhouse and kind of I'm keen to get this compost off them that they're sitting in. They've been in there for a good few years. I don't know what pests or that are in there either, and we need to see what kind of condition the roots are in. I'll just show you why they're in a row here. We've got kind of an assortment of thicknesses. Some actually quite nice chunky ones here. There's a bit of flare there to the bottom of that one. We'll have to see what condition the roots are in. I haven't really had a look at any of these yet, so it's just a mystery really. So let's start with this one. We'll take this to the bench and we'll have a look at what we've got in it. So I can see with these as well that the buds are just starting to show little bits of green, so they're kind of swelling up, which is good. We're going to do some quite invasive work on them. There's a lot of that kind of slow release fertiliser in there, probably kept them alive. I do want to check through the compost here just to make sure that there's no vine weevil or any nasties in there, because that's something that none of my trees have got in the pots. And I'm very keen to keep it that way. So being in quite a rich compost here, it's probably likely that there could be some in here. There's a butterfly chrysalis there. So let's just scrape this back and find where the roots start. I'm not expecting perfect flare nebari in here. These plants have never been worked on with the root system like this, so I just assume they're going to be quite field grown looking root systems. But again, they'll be fine for our forest planting. We haven't got much in there at all. There's not much roots on this plant. We're getting some finer roots here. Nothing big though. Not a lot of roots at all for the size plant. Very pleased to see no vine weevil though. The growth would be quite prominent this time of year. Obviously we're coming on to the end of February now. We've had a few little warmer spells in between. So out of all that soil we've removed there, not really much in the way of big root. A lot of fine root in there, which is good. Starting to hit some kind of mass here at the bottom of the pot. There we go. So I think to start with, I've got some old secateurs here. Just going to get rid of that root. There's one more big one there as well. We are going to quite dramatically reduce the trunk and the higher up branches, so these roots won't be so vital. There we go. We took quite a mass out there. Let's give that a little bang. We've got a couple of millipedes there as well, but no mealy, no vine weevil, so very good. That's something I was expecting to kind of find in these, if I'm honest. So I've pulled another one up. I'm not going to bore you guys with going through these individually. So yeah, we'll just probably do a time lapse and prep up the other remaining 7 or so the same way that we did. Right, so we've prepared these best we can. You may have saw in that time lapse there, a few of them I just popped off the bottom with an old saw, just because they were a little bit root bound, and where these have been potted back up in the pots, they've kind of created several planes of roots. So not the best nebari's on them, but I think jammed together, I think we could actually have quite a nice effect at some point going on. Now, as I've gone through them, that first one, there wasn't a single grub, but as I kind of expected there to be, and I kind of knew I'd find these in here. There's an absolute pile of Vine Weevil grubs there, so I'm kind of glad that we have gone through these. So whether I was going to make a forest out of them or just singular bonsais or whatever we were going to do with them, they need to be repotted and have this kind of treatment, because we don't want these getting around our other trees a few months from now when they hatch out. So because I found Vine Weevil in here, I'm not actually happy with even leaving the soil that we've got on here. So we'll take these out to the water butt outside, and we're just going to literally dunk them off like that. We won't do any more damage to the fine roots. There's one. Right, so I think that's our Vine Weevil precautions taken care of. Pretty much bare rooted. Shouldn't be any weevils left in there now, or any grubs at least. And we can kind of see the roots a lot nicer actually. And this time of year now, you know, this is the buds are kind of starting to swell. I don't think we'll get any problems with how we kind of process these. And yeah, really quite dramatic now, obviously the size area that they take up, you know, now the roots have been pruned. So now it's time to start doing something with the rest of it. I've got various crates lying around, sort of shopping totes if you like, or whatever. These ones we've had for quite a while now. But I think this will make quite a good training pot for that size forest. There's quite a lot of trees going in there. And I'm not going to use any plastics or liners as such. I'm going to allow for all this drainage, but I'm just going to use some of this moss here. We've got an absolute glut of moss off the roofs. So I'm just going to spread some of that out and let that just kind of act as a natural filter to stop the compost or soil falling out, but still allow for a good drainage. And obviously if roots hit that and as it rots down or carries on growing out of there, it will kind of retain the soil, but probably kind of feed the plants a little as well. So I just see that as a positive. So there we go, we've got that there. And the other beauty of this here, if we do need to add any wires or anything, we can push them through the bottom there if we do need to secure anything in there. So that's another good benefit to that crate there. So these three are quite big. As well. So I think those 5 will be our centerpiece, and then we have 4 more here to fill in around with. Now, some of you might be familiar, or probably will be familiar with Heron's Bonsai and Peter Chan. Obviously quite famous for some of his group plantings. And obviously a key factor of that, you know, with his videos to take from is always working odd numbers. You know, even numbers don't look quite right in a forest planting. And, you know, just stick 4 together or 6 together yourself and have a look at it. It, you know, never quite looks right. So it's best to have odd numbers. So you see that 5 there that works quite nice together. Just want to sit a few of them on and have a look for now before we put any soil in there. And get an idea of the height here with these, because a few of these, we could maybe wire a few of these up. So that one there, you see, has got potential to be wired up quite nicely there. I think that's going to be a good centerpiece there for us. And it hasn't got the best roots, so in the middle there, that won't really matter so much. But I think with this one, we can be quite confident. We'll just bop it off there for now. I'm not going to go right to where I want to cut it because we've just done all this to the root, so the plant's naturally going to be quite weak already. So we will let this recover a little bit before we refine the tops at a later date. But I'm more than happy with that at that height there. So we'll keep that there. Another large one here. These have already had a hard life, so let's see how this works. This is only temporary for now. I'm just kind of trying to get a bit of a feel for it. So again, I'm just going to bop that off where I feel is convenient. We'll go just there for now on this one. There we go, nice big bit of growth. That's quite a decent size again, that one. Bring that in as well and have a look. These really are ideal for a forest, these, and they're quite instant impact, so that's nice. And I think this one again we'll just bop him off there. Becoming a lot more manageable, and suddenly the crate doesn't look so big, does it? And we're only 3 plants in. Nice real chunky one. I'm trying to kind of have them offset and a little bit random. I don't want them all equally spaced out and looking like a kind of forest, commercial timber forest planting. They're screaming out there for me. So they seem to be really quite flexible, and wherever I'm putting them, they're looking quite nice without too much fiddling. So I kind of like that natural flow of it. So just while we're here, because it's getting quite busy as it were, I'm just going to clean up some of this aerial roots and things on here that we don't want. And you see here there's some suckers coming up from the bottom. They can go for now. This one here is trying to lay a little piece. Maybe that will be cool in years to come. It has roots on it already as well. Maybe we'll leave that alone. That's kind of cool, we can leave them in there. So we've now got our final 4 smaller ones. And I think, because I'm quite happy with how this is, I'm going to lift these out in one go and stick them to the back there. I can tend to be a little bit OCD with things and fiddle too much, so if something's looking good there, I want to kind of preserve what we've got, and we can maybe adjust little bits at the end. Soil wise, really, it's just going to be a well draining mix. This has got some bark in it, it's got some grit in there, oh, loads of terracotta as well. Let's get that out of there. Look at that, that's a nice free draining mix, that, and it just doesn't stick together, you see. It's nice and airy. Should encourage lots of fine roots and those to mesh together. So I've slightly mounded the middle there, give us a little bit of kind of animation to what we're doing. I'm just going to bring a bit more moss in now and just push it to the edges. Like I say, in the end, I think the moss will probably just rot down and feed the plants. You might get a little bit growing from the sides. And like I say, I think it will just really be quite beneficial to the whole thing in the end. If the crate didn't have so many holes in, I wouldn't bother with the moss. It's a nice way of getting around it there without bits of plastic kind of just collecting puddles of water in the bottom. Will we fit 9 in it? We've captured quite a bit of the movement of each of those trees. Yeah, let's add some small ones in and see if we can add any more interest to this. And in fact, that uses the movement of that quite nicely there. So I think that's where that wants to go. These all seem to be finding a home immediately, which is nice. They seem to have an obvious place to be. I've tried to reduce it down a little bit more between the root planes. There's 2 quite dramatically different root planes there, so I'll try and encourage it to root more between the 2 and bring that up a little bit. I think that actually might be a nice one for the front here, even though we've got that little piece there. That might just go now. I think there's only one obvious place for that to go. Yeah, I think that works really well. Right, so I'm fairly happy with that really. I don't think there's really anything there I want to adjust. I obviously would be treating this as the front. I'm going to try and bunch these in a little bit more when I do plant them. But I think that's really quite an interesting composition already. And obviously if I can get them in a little bit tighter, when this does get potted up into a proper pot in the end, you know, we'll be able to reduce this a fair bit. Obviously it'll have to be a deep pot because of the amount of water required in here. And I'm just going to double check that these bottom roots are as low as I can get them. Seems to look really nice every time you arrange them, so that's quite a positive on its own there. So we've really managed to get them a lot closer together now, which is nice. That one went there. Again, I'm just being cautious of where that cut's going to be, so I'm trying to hide them sneak into the back. Put that one down a little bit further. That one in there. I think this one, yeah, it's quite delicate, so we'll have that at the front. And you see how well them roots are meshed together, just on this first pot in here. I've only set them together. Right, so we're just having a kind of final arrangement here, just making sure it's going to work before I start backfilling with soil. I'm just going to weave in a few of these roots to kind of start that meshing together process. And I think other than that, we can about call that one done. I've got more of that soil I had earlier, and I've actually, just for this top layer now, added a little bit of a quality, that's a white stone there as well. Got Vine Weevil grubs on the mind, but it wasn't. I've added a little bit of quality compost, just to kind of give it a little bit of, you know, a bit of food and a bit of substance about it. Sandy, gritty soil can be a little bit dead. So really now, I'm kind of going to shake it in there. I don't really want to disturb these. I know the water will help it find its way. We just put a thin coat on this side, just to pin them in. Try and shake a little bit of that mud in between them, because we've obviously bunched them up. I'm really just doing a kind of up and down motion here, because I don't want to disturb some of the finer roots that I've kind of weaved in there. So we're just making sure there's no voids. Yeah, that's looking like what I kind of envisioned. It's nice when that happens. A little bit more of that mix there. But I don't say, to avoid nasty bits of wire and stuff everywhere, you know, guide-wise pulling them around, which we can do, you know, but we might just have to sit some bits of stone and things in there just to hold them roughly where we want them. They've got a good mass of roots and it's well weaved together, so I don't think they're just going to flop over or anything anytime soon. Right, well, I think we'll call that one done for now. I'm really quite pleased with that actually. I must admit that's probably one of my best attempts at a forest. I think probably using the maturer plants has worked out quite nicely. I mean, it could do with a few skinnier ones here and there, but I have other hornbeams from my own collection. Look, when the leaf comes out and this leaf comes out, I can make sure they are the same and maybe add a few in. But for an afternoon's work mucking around there, the lights just begin to fail on us, so we've just about conquered it in time, although there's quite a bit of cleaning up to do. But yeah, really quite pleased with this. We won't go any further with the cuts for now. We'll let it recover. I've already picked quite a few spots in there where I think we'll be cutting them back to, with a lot of the cuts already facing the back, assuming this will always be the front, but I think it will. It's either going to be here or there, but we've worked from this face here. So yeah, Hornbeam Forest, you know, kind of roll on spring now. And one other thing I'll show you quickly while I'm here, some viewers from last year might remember, I've got this tiny little field maple kind of forest that I put together, and I'm just seeing now that the buds are swelling on this, and they're all alive, every single one of them. I don't know how many is in there, quite a few. And then a slightly larger version of it was this one, and this is also field maple, Acer compasta. If I show you this one, I'm quite confident that the roots have mashed really well with this one. This is a year old. So it's been a cold old winter, so I think we've lost a little bit on the outside there. But that one there is a year in, and they're all meshed together. Quite a bit of healing on the cuts already. So yeah, really quite pleased with that one. There's a lot of trees in that little pot. They look great over summer actually, even though these look best without the foliage on. Get that back in there. So yeah, two other little examples, and then, like I say, probably the best one I've ever done there so far. A few years off being finished, but a good start. So yeah, really kind of cool, interesting project there. Really enjoyed that one, and look forward to updating you guys when we got something to show for it. So yeah, if you have enjoyed it, as always, if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It's free to do so. Helps out the channel a lot. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.